Across oceans and centuries, two chairs worlds apart carry a darkness none can explain. From the Busby Stoop Chair in England, where a hanged man's dying words condemned those who sat in it to death, to the salt chairs of Belcourt Castle in Rhode Island that have thrown grown men from their seat as if they cling to the idea only royalty are worthy of their comfort. Join us as we discuss the legacy of these cursed chairs and the spirits that still claim them. Hello, friends and family. Welcome back to another episode of Weekly Bazaar. And if you're new here, welcome. Hi, I'm Jessica, your old crone.
I'm Montana. You're not old crone.
Yet.
Every time. Every time.
It's funny. That just reminded me, Tony met up with his softball buddies a couple weeks ago, and they were making jokes because they're all old men now. Like, I think he's the youngest by a few years, and he's 45. And they were joking about making a senior league. He's like, I'll get a fake ID. It's fine. Because I think you have to be 50 to be considered a senior.
Do they actually check your ID?
No, I don't think so. But don't. When do you get the golden card or whatever? Is it 50?
I think
Maybe it's
when
55.
you're 50. Oh.
Is it 50?
50 or 55.
Yeah, he's gonna get a fake one of those.
But do you think he'd be more offended if he joined a senior league and they didn't check his ID?
Probably. Oh yeah, knowing him, because he's getting gray, in his beard and his hair, which I love, but he's all self-conscious about it, and so I feel like he would take that directly to heart. Why aren't they asking for my ID?
When I was younger, in my 20s, I did not like older men at all. And now it's I'm in my 30s. I'm like, the more salt and pepper, the better.
Mm-hmm.
It's oh, I've gotten to that age now.
Yeah, I love it. But I think I've always kind of liked that. Maybe not in high school, but for quite a long time, I've liked the salt and pepper look.
Not until I hit my 30s. I don't know, just a mature man. Meow.
Yeah, something good about that for sure. Probably because it takes them so damn long to grow up. No offense, guys, but jeez.
Jeez. And that's if they do.
Yeah. Yeah, so this morning, I don't know what I was doing. I was on my phone, and this random one of those take a test to see what category you fall in things popped up, and it was on star seeds. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
I hadn't either, so I was like, hey, why not? I'll see about this. And it was basically, what I'm gathering from it is how some people speculate that our DNA isn't from the Earth, it's from other star systems, and meteors carried it here back in the day, and when you made contact with the Earth, it transported the DNA from somewhere else. So I'm guessing that's probably what it's based on. So it's what star system are you from? And apparently I'm from Sirius. I'm a Syrian.
Is there any information about Sirius?
Well, I didn't really look into them. Again, I was just what is this?
But all the tests you took, you're so weird.
No. But it was it did tick a lot of boxes about me, I'm not gonna lie. Wow, huh. All right then. But that stuff's all kind of the same, in my opinion. But the one thing I did see about Sirius, and I thought this was interesting, is that the Sirius star system is considered the dog system. So I guess it's maybe looks like the stars are in the shape of a dog or something. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting because like on the Chinese, what is that? Like year of
Oh, yeah, like
the
Year of the Dragon, or
yeah, I'm year of the dog. So I'm like, "Oh, that's
I'm Year of the Dragon.
cool." Yeah, I always get the lame shit. Like my Patronus, when Dominic had me do that Harry Potter thing, was a freaking badger. And he got a wolf. I'm like, what the hell? That is like the least cool animal you could possibly get.
A badger. Well, I
Yeah,
wonder, you
so
and I are a lot alike though, so I wonder if we be under a lot of the same categories.
I don't know. Like when I like close people to me, I always kind of think about when I'm reading through the options of choices to pick. And I was thinking about you for some of them and Tony for some of them. And I think we're quite a bit more different than you think. Like our interests are, I mean, we are drawn to the same types of things, but like I'm much more, I feel like in my mind and you're much more in your body kind of thing, like traveling and hiking and all that. And I'm more like art and introspection and
I see that. Okay, I see that.
yeah. So like when I was reading through, I'm like, oh, she'd totally pick that. Oh, she'd totally pick that. And it was not what I picked.
Oh, interesting. You know me so well.
Yeah, so that was my stupid morning. That was just random.
My
And what have you
morning,
I was gonna say, what have you
yeah.
been up to? What's new?
I've had a doctor's appointment this morning. Just want to apologize if my energy seems low. I am like sick as a dog right now. So, like I mentioned before, I'm just having some health problems. So, we're just trying to sort through them.
Yeah.
But I'm here. Still want to
Get well
show up.
soon.
Thanks. So, this sucks. But
Well, I know something else that's new.
what?
You're gonna be getting a new car,
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, did some car shopping last week, and then I got to do car shopping today, and it's tedious.
Yeah. Do you know what you want to get?
Oh, no. But I'm not buying a brand new car. I want to get like a nice used car that still only has not that many miles on it. I still want it to last like me another 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm actually carless right now. I've been driving my brother's car, and I'm so thankful that, since they just had a baby like a week ago, they've been sharing a car since he works from home and, she'll be home for a while. So I'm thankful for my brother and letting me borrow his car. But he needed his car like today and tomorrow. So now I'm like carless. So back to bumming rides.
That
But
sucks.
this will be like the first car I've actually will be spending myself, like my own money on this car, which actually kind of feels good.
Yeah.
Like I've spent like cheaper cars where I've like, first started out driving like $3,000 or something on a car, and I've been driving my grandpa's car for so long now, and I love my grandpa's car. But yeah, this will be the first time like where I'm buying it, and it's a good feeling.
Oh. Well,
But
congrats.
I'm gonna be broke now, so it's fine.
You sure will. I'm gonna be joining you though, because I'm gonna be getting a new car soon too.
I know you need one too.
Yeah, I'm gonna be giving my son my car, so I'm gonna need one. Mama needs a car.
We joked about getting matching cars.
That would be so cute. I would love it, honestly.
Like mine could be the guy version and you could be the girl version. I'll put like a mustache on mine. You can put like those long eyelashes you see that people put on their lights.
Put some like cat ears on top. Be so
Yeah.
cute. And always park next to each other in the work.
You haven't been parking next to me. I'm just saying. I've been parking by myself still.
Yeah, I'm quite random with my parking spots, which is really unusual for me because I'm a lot like you, where I'm a creature of habit. So I like having the same spot, but for some reason, that parking lot, I'm just so random.
Well, if I didn't park in that spot, I would have never met my boyfriend. So
Yeah, that's true.
everything works out for a reason.
It does. And if I hadn't worked at my last job, I never would have met you, which is weird to say because it wasn't even in the city that I'm in now. And it was recommended to me by one of my clients that was from where we live, and I was moving here, and she's like, "You should check out this place," and here we are. It's weird how things work out.
Stars are aligning. And we can be broke together, babe.
Did you see? I haven't looked today, but this is our luck, guys. Okay, so we just recently started a TikTok not that long ago. It's like one of our newest social medias, so we're like trying to grow it, and we never know which one of our reels is going to do well. For us, at least, it's well, and we put up one last week and it did really well, and we're like, okay, we're gonna hit 200, and she's like, shoot, we're gonna go 300, and then it stopped at 199. It's been at 199 for like 3 days. Oh my God.
Come join TikTok and be our 200 follower.
Yeah, because like when we hit 100, I made a special reel for that, and I was like, oh, I better start making the reel for 200, and it literally stopped at 199. So there's a little glimpse into the difficulties of doing this. It's like the universe just keeps teasing us. I don't know.
I know. Like when I was at the doctor's office today, she was having trouble like booking my appointment, and she's like, "Well, I don't know why this is popping up. That's weird. I don't even know what this is." And everyone was like, "Well, that's weird. Must be a glitch." And like, so it took a while. And I'm like, "This it's because it's me. Like this stuff happens to me all the time." And then I had to go to the bank right afterward. And then like he's like, "Oh, it's weird. My computer is just being so slow right now," and all this stuff. And I'm like, it just follows me wherever I go.
Yeah, the day I ended up having to take my son to have his hair redone. Not redone, but just like bleached again, which I probably could have done myself, to be honest, and I should have because it would have been way cheaper. But anyway, like we were out and about that whole day, just finishing his glow up. If you were here last week, we were talking about his glow up. And we were out shopping, and his hair appointment wasn't until 1:30, and we had one more thing we had to do, and we had to hurry to do it in order to make the appointment in time. I'm like, yeah, we can do it. Let's just do it. So we go, and every possible thing that could slow us down slowed us down. Like we were in the parking lot behind this van that was going like 1 mile an hour. I'm like, what are you doing? And then we rush into the store, grab the shoes he wanted, leave, and are heading back to go get his hair done. And we're like, we got this, we got this. And we get to like the main road, and a funeral procession starts coming through.
Oh my gosh.
Like, really? I mean, respect the dead, of course, but the timing, like, it's because it's me. I'm the person that picks every wrong line at the grocery store, that somebody gets stuck with like a million coupons in front of me. Like, whatever.
And then when you and I are together, it's like, bam, it's even worse.
It's like a collective of all that crap. But here we are, still going strong.
We still show up.
Yeah. So today we're going to be continuing on with the series that we just recently started. That is the haunted heirlooms, is what we decided to go with for the series. And the first episode was about the Dybbuk box, which I did a couple weeks ago. And then today it's going to be on some haunted furniture pieces, some chairs. It's the theme of the day, are chairs.
Chairs.
Chairs, big chairs, hard chairs.
My parents' neighbor, he's from New York, and so he has that like accent, and so like we were getting together for like some event or whatever, and he was like, "Oh, I forgot the chairs. I need the chairs." And so like every time I see him, I'm like, "Did you bring the chairs? Did you bring them?"
Aww.
So it's like, "I got the chairs." I love his accent.
I love that.
Funny. I got the chairs.
Well, are you ready to get started?
I am.
Okay.
I'm curious when you start reading about them if I know what they are or not.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So today we shift our gaze across the Atlantic into the heart of England for our first of 2 stories in this episode, where a modest wooden chair has allegedly caused death for centuries. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I feel like most of these haunted heirlooms, we have to insert just a big umbrella, allegedly.
Do you think it's more realistic than how the Dybbuk box is like people saying how big of a hoax it is?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say this one is more believable. I mean, I thought that one was believable, to be honest.
Like I don't not believe it, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
Like I'm always open to like I'm not gonna say like no.
Right.
But it kind of would suck if it was just all completely made up.
Mm-hmm. And I did not find anything that said that this was made up. So that was nice.
Okay.
That was nice. Okay, so our story begins in North Yorkshire. I think that's how you pronounce it. I want to say Yorkshire, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to say Yorkshire.
Yorkshire.
That's how I'm going to say it. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry. We get things wrong a lot here. It's our thing. So yes, North Yorkshire, England, during the early 1700s. So in the early 18th century, it was a rugged, unforgiving stretch of English countryside, often shrouded in fog, the perfect setting for legends and myths to thrive. North Yorkshire was a land defined by stark contrasts. Rolling moors and dense woodlands gave way to scattered hamlets and stone-built villages, where life was slow, hard, and largely governed by tradition, superstition, and survival. It was a time before industrialization when most people lived off the land, farmers, blacksmiths, and tradesmen making modest livings under the weight of harsh winters and unreliable harvests. The social structure was rigid, and crime was punished swiftly and publicly. Gallows were a familiar sight in market towns, standing as solemn reminders of the price of wrongdoing. Literacy was, hardcore times, man.
Yep.
Literacy was limited, and folklore filled the gaps that education. I almost said gapes.
What is up with you and gaping holes?
God, folklore filled the gapes. No. Literacy was limited, and folklore filled the gaps that education did not. Tales of witches, spirits, and curses weren't just campfire stories. They were woven into everyday belief. In such a world, fear traveled fast, and a man like Thomas Busby, angry and volatile, and scorned by a respectable society, was feared almost as much as he was shunned. His inn stood isolated on a country road not far from the village of Sandhutton, a lonely beacon of ale and conflict, where patrons would drink their fears away by warm firelight. It was in this setting, muddy lanes, flickering oil lamps, and the local whispers of the supernatural, that the legend of the Busby Stoop chair was born, and it would linger for centuries. So to understand the darkness surrounding the Busby Stoop chair, I'll tell you a bit about the life of the man who cursed it. Thomas Busby was not born into notoriety. In fact, very little is recorded about his early years, only that by the turn of the 18th century, he had carved out a pretty rough existence in the rural Yorkshire
Rural.
countryside. That is that word I just cannot say.
Rural. Rural.
And my southern accent definitely comes out when I say that.
Rural.
Rural. His reputation, however, was far from respectable. Known to locals as a belligerent drunk and petty criminal, Busby was the sort of man who could be found gambling in alleyways, brawling in taverns, and drinking himself into oblivion more nights than not.
Is he related to Mike Malloy?
He might be in the same bloodline. Who knows?
Oh, good old Mike Malloy.
Check out our last episode about Mike Malloy. He was something else, man.
A belligerent drunk.
A belligerent drunk with a liver of frickin' steel. So they could possibly be related.
Okay.
So he operated a small, dimly lit inn along a remote stretch of road near Sandhutton, not far from Thirsk. I don't know where any of these places are. The establishment was no grand coaching house or bustling tavern. It was a lonely outpost, quiet and weather-beaten, crouched among the windswept moors. Its only appeal was that it offered ale and shelter from the relentless Yorkshire cold. But within its walls, tension would often brew among its owners. Busby lived there with his wife, Elizabeth Oddie, a woman who, by all accounts, was patient, kind-hearted, and caught in the eye of a violent storm. Her father, Daniel Oddie, was a blacksmith and iron forger of some renown in the area. Unlike Busby, Oddie was stern and disciplined, a man who valued structure, hard work, and sobriety. He had no love for his son-in-law and made that distaste painfully clear.
I mean, fair.
So not two peas in a pod, unfortunately. And Elizabeth was stuck right in the middle.
I mean, would you want Dom to date a lush?
Hell no. He wouldn't, by the way. He would not do that.
What did he say? He's not going to date a thought?
He's not going to date a thought. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do drugs. He would not want that in his life, I'm certain.
So that's why I said you can't blame the guy.
Yeah. Their relationship was toxic at best, volatile at worst. Oddie had co-founded the inn with Busby and was still involved in its upkeep, which only worsened their power struggles. The two men frequently came to blows over money, business decisions, and most painfully, Elizabeth's welfare. As the story goes, one grim evening in 1702, and I saw some conflicting timelines here by just a few years, like one was 1699 or something like that, but majority of sources said 1702. So that's what we're going with. The friction reached its breaking point. Oddie arrived at the inn unannounced, perhaps with the intention of taking his daughter away for good. When Busby returned from town, he found Oddie waiting, sitting in Busby's favorite chair, drinking from a mug as if he owned the place, which he kind of did. It was a small act of defiance, but to a man like Busby, it was a grave insult. No one knows for sure what words were exchanged or what darkness overtook Busby that night, but it ended in blood. Daniel Oddie was murdered. His body later found in the woods nearby. Some claimed Busby used a hammer, others believed he strangled him in cold fury. The law caught up with Busby quickly, and he was sentenced to hang. But before he met his end, he was granted a final drink, seated in the same wooden chair. They say he downed his ale with trembling hands, eyes burning with rage, and then he uttered the infamous curse, quote, "Let death come swiftly to anyone who dares sit in my chair," unquote.
Okay, I do know this story.
You do?
Yeah.
Shortly after. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Shortly after, his body was strung from the gallows erected outside the inn, a macabre spectacle meant to warn others. The inn soon became known as the Busby Stoop Inn, with Stoop referring to the gallows itself. The chair remained there, undisturbed, at first just a grim souvenir, but that quiet relic would soon build a fearsome legacy all its own. So after Thomas Busby's execution, his body swung lifelessly from the gallows just outside the inn that would bear his name for centuries. In the immediate years following his death, the inn remained operational. Like many establishments in rural England at the time, it passed from one hand to another with little fanfare. But the wooden chair that Busby had cursed, his final resting seat, remained rooted in its corner, untouched by many, but spoken about by all. There were also whispers of Busby himself haunting the crossroads opposite the inn, locals claiming to see his ghost wandering about. Ownership records from the 18th and 19th centuries are sparse, but it's believed the inn cycled through at least half a dozen proprietors between 1702 and the early 1900s. Each owner, whether out of superstition or pragmatism, kept the chair in place. It became both a morbid curiosity and a cautionary tale, a piece of furniture that guests were warned not to sit in unless they wanted to tempt fate. Locals began to take notice of strange coincidences. Stories began to emerge of men who mocked the curse, took a seat in Busby's chair, and never made it home alive, allegedly. Some died in freak accidents, others crashed their carts on the same winding road Busby once stumbled along. A few simply vanished. Again, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
But you know how legends like this spread like wildfire. You get an idea, run with it. By the time the 20th century rolled around, the legend of the chair had solidified into local folklore. The inn had become a destination for the morbidly curious, drawing in soldiers, thrill seekers, and skeptics. Some deliberately sat in the chair to test the curse. Many would die shortly afterward, particularly during World War II, when a number of pilots who visited the inn never returned from missions after sitting in it. I mean, I feel like it's probably not connected to the chair. I mean, it's a pretty big war going on, so your chances of survival aren't great.
Would you sit in the chair?
No. Would you?
No, hell no.
No, I wouldn't.
I'm also not that person that's like a skeptic and be like, I'll sit in the chair just to prove you guys wrong. You guys are stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you not seen horror movies?
Yeah. I'll be skeptical, but I will also not put my butt in that chair.
Exactly. Like, remember we talked about how at Zach Bagans' museum, I didn't even look in the mirror because it's a portal. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, I can be skeptic about things, like you said, but doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure in our last episode we were saying Zach Bagans, and that's probably not the way you pronounce his name, but it was so fun.
I say Bagans because I don't know.
Tony was cracking up when I was editing that part.
Why?
Not Bilbo, not Frodo, but Dildo. We're just silly. Okay, so yeah, the number of pilots who visited the inn never returned from missions after sitting in it.
Shocker.
The Busby Stoop Inn had become a popular watering hole for Royal Air Force pilots stationed at nearby Topcliffe and Leeming air bases. The young men, brave and bold, often stopped by for drinks between bomb raids over Europe. The chair still sat in its usual spot in the inn's corner. Pilots dared each other to sit in it. I can see it now. I can totally see them doing it, like going in there, brawling around each other. Like, oh, dude, do it, dude.
Especially if alcohol is involved.
Yeah, I'll do it if you do it.
Don't be a pussy, man. Just do it.
Exactly. Some laughed off the superstition. Others were drawn to it, drunk on adrenaline and the romance of a ghost story. And ale.
Good old
One
ale.
pilot, fresh from training, took a seat in a chair during a celebration the night before his first mission. He never returned. His bomber vanished over the English Channel, no distress call, no trace. I feel like this happened a lot. Another airman was said to have collapsed into the chair in exhaustion after hearing of his brother's death in combat. That same evening, his plane was shot down over Germany. And so it went, a morbid roll call. Each man who sat in the chair seemed to meet a grim fate within hours or days. Explosions over France, technical failures, disappearances, and allegedly a pilot who, after sitting in the chair, was so spooked by the tale that he returned later that night, dead sober, and apologized to the empty room before his next mission. He was among the few who survived. Allegedly.
See?
So veterans began to whisper about the death chair at the Stoop. Some even avoided the inn altogether, not wanting to tempt the curse that was racking up so many alleged deaths. Would you even want to go there to see it? Like, would you go to, like, witness it? Or would you just
I think I would. I think I would. Because it sounded like his quote was like, if you sit in the chair, you will die. Not like, if you look at the chair, you will die.
Right.
I would go and witness it. I would respect it and just not sit in it, even if it's not true. But I just don't want to take that chance, you know?
Same, boy. Tony have been saying that so much because of Judy Gemstone. Boy. Okay, so one of the most chilling accounts tied to the chair revolves around a man named Flight Officer James or Jimmy Wilkins. Heard of him?
Nope.
Born in 1916 in Manchester, Wilkins was a son of a railway engineer and a seamstress. He was known for his quiet determination, strong moral compass, and love for flying. When the clouds of war began to darken Europe, Wilkins enlisted with the Royal Air Force and trained as a bomber pilot. By 1943, he had already completed several missions over occupied France, earning commendations for his precision and cool demeanor under fire. Not me, man. I would be freaking the hell out for so many reasons. Ooh.
This is why we just talk about it.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. My grandpa was in the Battle of Okinawa and I actually did a presentation on that. And he just sat down and talked to me about it for hours. And I just took notes. Some of the crap that he saw, wow. Wild.
Yeah. I mean, I've dated a lot of people in the military.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I can see why PTSD is a thing.
Yes. Okay. Stationed near North Yorkshire, Jimmy and his fellow pilots would occasionally visit the Busby Stoop Inn during their brief periods of leave. It was there that his fate was sealed. One evening, perhaps emboldened by drink or the need to defy the looming specter of death, Wilkins sat in the infamous chair. A creaking of ancient wood, a ripple of laughter from his comrades, then silence. One of the inn's older patrons reportedly muttered, quote, "He's marked now," end quote.
That's not good.
There's always that creepy old dude that's sitting back in the corner saying weird shit.
That randomly pops up and then disappears again.
Yeah.
Like, who is this guy? Where did you come from?
Yeah, he says something and then the next time you look over, he's gone.
Like the old drunk guy. That, like, gives you the warning in the horror movie. And they're just like, yeah, whatever, old guy. Just leave us alone and just drink your beer. And then...
Yeah.
Every time.
Listen to the old guy.
Listen to the old boy.
Listen to the old boy. Days later, Jimmy Wilkins departed on a nighttime bombing run over Nuremberg. That would suck. His Lancaster bomber vanished without a trace. No wreckage, no transmissions, no remains were ever found.
Ooh.
Yeah. Another Bermuda Triangle situation. Wilkins' name was etched into the, I hate saying this word because I always want to say anal. Wilkins' name was etched into the annals of RAF heroes lost in combat, but those who knew the story whispered of another explanation. The curse of the Busby Stoop chair had claimed another soul, and many more would follow. Coincidence? The odds of war? Or maybe something more deliberate? I'll never know.
I'm a person that does not believe in coincidences.
I can't say that I am one of those people. I don't know. I've just had quite a few things in my life happen that seem very coincidental, but I don't know.
Because you're just like, what a coincidence. It's like, is it?
Probably not. Probably not. So by the 1970s, the tales had grown too disturbing to ignore. A roofer who sat in the chair died after the roof he was working on collapsed, and a cleaning woman stumbled into it while mopping and later died from a brain tumor. Eventually, the pub owner moved it into the basement, hoping that nobody would sit in it. I wonder at that point why they still kept it.
I mean, I get money.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true.
Or like attract people that will spend money at your inn.
Yeah. So he moved it down there, hoping that nobody would sit in it. However, one day a delivery man was in the basement and apparently he sat in it, and an hour later crashed his truck and died. Like, dude.
Wow.
Why? Like, were you sitting down to tie your shoe after you took the booze downstairs or something? Like,
maybe it was innocent.
Yeah. 2 bricklayers decided to try it, and that afternoon, the one who sat in it fell to his death. The inn's then owner was so disturbed by the growing list of deaths that he finally made the decision to remove the chair altogether. In an effort to preserve both safety and legend, the infamous seat was donated to the Thirsk Museum, a local institution dedicated to regional history. When the chair arrived at the museum, the staff took no chances. Whether they believed in the curse or not, the chair's reputation had preceded it. Museum workers refused to touch it with their bare hands. Instead, it was suspended from the wall, locked in place above eye level, where no one could accidentally or defiantly take a seat. Smart.
Yeah.
Though now safely off limits to visitors, the stories of Busby's chair continued. Skeptics called it a coincidence. Believers called it a curse. Either way, one fact remained. Since its relocation, no one has sat in the chair, and perhaps because of that, no new deaths have been linked to it. Obviously. As for the Busby Stoop Inn, it continued to operate, though it struggled to shake its haunted reputation. In 2012, after more than 3 centuries of pouring ale and passing down ghost stories, the inn closed its doors permanently. No longer named the Busby Stoop, nor is it a pub. It became a pretty great Indian restaurant, apparently, because I was looking up to see what happened to it. And it's really cute, too. And it's named the Jaipur Spice. And that was at least as of 2021. So I don't know if it's still that little restaurant or not, but no longer
was open
the Busby
for
Inn.
a long time.
A very long time.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's definitely been restored, I'm sure, a number of times because it was really cute in the picture of the Indian restaurant. Adorable. So that's the story of the Busby Stoop chair. It's up to you whether you believe it or not.
I mean, I'm kind of glad they took the option away. You can sit in it.
Yeah.
Since they hung it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would go and see it.
Definitely, I would too.
Psh, any excuse to travel? Shoot, come on.
Okay, so the second story that I have, I figured I'd continue on with the chair theme. And initially, I was going to do Chair of Nails, but the more that I looked for information, the less I could find. So I decided to look for something else, and this is what I found. And it's a set of chairs, and they are the chairs of Belcourt Castle. Have you heard of them?
I want to say no, but if you start like explaining, maybe. But right now, I'm going to say no.
So some of these heirlooms that I'm looking up have tons and tons and tons of information to where, I mean, there's almost too much. Like the Dybbuk box, I could find so much on it. And with this one, not so much, but these chairs are kind of a small piece of a bigger picture, because I guess there's multiple things in this castle that spirits or entities are tied to. So I figured I'd include those too, since there's only a couple stories about the chairs. So yeah, this is kind of just a castle full of relics that have things tied to it, basically, and chairs included. So our next haunted heirloom, or heirlooms, if you will, come from the elite seaside town of Newport, Rhode Island, in the shadowed corridors of Belcourt Castle, the home of two ornate chairs that have allegedly thrown people across rooms, sent jolts of static down their spines, and stirred ancient energies no one can explain.
I don't know why that's funny, but that's funny.
Oh, wouldn't that be hilarious to see?
Someone thrown from a chair? Yes.
Yeah. Newport, Rhode Island, one of America's oldest colonial settlements, was founded in 1639. By the late 19th century, it had transformed into a glittering playground for the East Coast's wealthiest families, the Vanderbilts, the Astors, and other Gilded Age elites, commissioned lavish summer cottages, quote unquote, or mansions rather, more akin to European chateaus than beach houses. This place is incredible.
I bet.
And among them stood the Belcourt Castle, constructed in 1895 at the corner of Bellevue Avenue and Lakeview Drive. Designed by Richard Morris Hunt, the same famed architect behind the Biltmore Estate and the Breakers. I don't know what that is. I know what the Biltmore is, but I don't know what the Breakers is. I didn't look that up.
I have no idea.
But I mean, I'm sure it's incredible because the Biltmore is incredible too. It's like right around Asheville, North Carolina. And I've been to Asheville many times, and I've actually never gone to the Biltmore, but if we ever make it there again, I definitely want to.
You can find us at patreon.com/weeklybazaar.
Please and thanks.
What she said.
Love us, don't hate us. Okay, so yes, the same architect that built those beautiful places. Belcourt was commissioned by a 33-year-old bachelor and horse enthusiast, Oliver Hazard Perry Belmont. It just sounds rich. Oliver Hazard Perry Belmont. Banker,
that's
playboy.
A name.
That is. He was a banker, a playboy, and eventually husband to Alva Vanderbilt. Which I didn't know who that was, because it was like I'm supposed to know who that is in the information I was looking up. So I looked her up, and apparently she was an American multimillionaire, socialite, and women's suffrage activist. And she was known for her energy, intelligence, strong opinions, and willingness to challenge convention. So she sounded like a pretty cool chick, in my opinion.
And she picked a playboy?
Yeah. Yeah, but it didn't last long because he dies.
Oh.
That's really not a spoiler. It's a very small part. So Belmont's vision was eccentric, even by Gilded Age standards, which that's saying something because that's like the big boom of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
The castle was a French Gothic fantasy filled with moats,
Ooh.
medieval flourishes, and vast halls meant more for showing off suits of armor than socialites. Oddly enough, Oliver only lived in the castle for 6 to 8 weeks out of the year. Could you imagine having that kind of money? Like, oh, I'm just gonna go stay in my castle for a few weeks.
Yeah, but like I can, if you had a castle, I can definitely picture the Gothic like
Oh yeah,
style.
that was one
And
of the things that star seed test, like my outcome, it was like most likely at one time or another you've been gothic or hippie or I'm like, yeah, okay. But yeah. Oh, if I
I
could
was,
decorate a castle, ooh, that'd be so fun.
I had Tubi on the other day, and it just plays stuff right for the dogs because I'm a psycho, and it had the girls next door on the Playboy bunnies. You know what I'm talking about with Hugh Hefner's
Oh yeah,
girlfriends.
yeah.
And there was the episode where Elvira came to their um his mansion to do like a Halloween special, and I literally was like, "It's Jessica." You're prettier than her though. You're much prettier than her, but like
Thank
her
you.
dark aesthetic, and I was like, "It's Jessica."
Her hair's too much for me.
I don't like the bangs.
Yeah, they're not like my bangs.
No, but I like you call Elvira because you're like the spoothy goth chick, not because like you look like her.
Well, I appreciate it.
You're much prettier than her. She's got some good boobs, though. I'm not gonna lie. Her boobs are
She
like,
does.
I was like, damn,
Yeah,
girl.
she's got
You
some
do
nice
too, but you don't
titties.
show them like she does. Like she has them out
No,
there.
no, I'm a modest mouse over here, keeping myself
No
covered up.
comment.
Okay. So, yes, he was only at this beautiful castle. You couldn't get me away from this place if I owned it for 6 to 8 weeks out of the year. So, after marrying Alva in 1896 and dying just over a decade later, see, so they were only married like 10-ish years.
So he died about like around 43.
Because
he said he was 33 at the time, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't look up to see how he died. It probably was from his lifestyle, I'd say. If he was a playboy and they seemed to just love to party.
Oh, like they both like to party?
Yeah, she was. Yeah.
A socialite, so I guess,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Love
Okay.
to entertain. That's what they use the house for.
Castle.
Castle. Yeah. The home slid into periods of vacancy and decay, which that's sad. Alva, ever the socialite, lost interest and passed on ownership to her brother, who eventually sold it around 1940 to a businessman whose vision was to transform it into a car museum. But apparently his plans never came to fruition, I guess. Never became that. So after the failed attempt to turn the castle into a car museum, the estate changed hands again, this time landing with the Lorillard family. That's kind of a cool name. Like it sounds like it should be in a story or something. The Lorillards.
The
They
Lorillard.
were a wealthy American dynasty known for their legacy in tobacco, philanthropy, and cultural patronage. So
Oh, so they had money.
yeah. They sound interesting though. The
I guess.
Lorillards, I've never heard of them, but that's not saying anything. I've never heard of anything. I live in a freaking cave. The Lorillards weren't just looking for a summer residence. They saw the castle's sprawling lawns, stone courtyards, and vast interior spaces as something more, a stage. So by the late 1950s, the Lorillards were already deeply involved in the American jazz scene. In fact, it was Elaine Guthrie Lorillard and her husband Louis, or Louis, I'm not sure, who helped found the legendary Newport Jazz Festival. Didn't know that. In 1954, alongside jazz promoter George Wein.
Ween?
Sorry, Wein. Wayne? George Wine?
Let's go with Ween because it sounds
Let's go with
better.
Ween. Yeah.
Ween.
Ween, boy. What began as a modest gathering of music lovers quickly exploded into a cultural touchstone. Recognizing Belcourt's capacity, both symbolically and spatially, the Lorillard saw an opportunity. With enough open acreage to accommodate 10,000 guests, Belcourt became an unofficial extension of the Newport jazz circuit. Despite the glamorous association with jazz, Belcourt Castle itself continued to fall into neglect. The focus was mainly on the event space, not the architectural preservation. How dare you?
Yeah.
As thousands of festival goers trampled the grounds each season, the castle's delicate interiors, woodwork, and antique finishes suffered from a lack of restoration and maintenance. While the Lorillards put Newport on the map as a cultural hub, they also inadvertently accelerated Belcourt's physical deterioration. No major renovation work was done during their ownership. Leaky roofs worsened, intricate plaster work cracked, dust gathered over forgotten portraits and paneling. That's so sad. As the music played outside, inside the castle, silence and decay crept in. But I guess it makes, like, if you don't live there and you're just literally using it to make money, but you would think you would want to keep it nice. I don't know.
I mean, that's what people do, though. Like erosion over time, technically, you know? They just ruin things.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why they're talking about we can't go to Machu Picchu probably in the future because just from all the erosion from the people.
Yeah.
Are wearing it down over time. So it's like with anything. So just think of like the wear and tear people bring in and you're not even doing anything to help fix it.
Poor Mother Earth, man. We're just parasites that have
I know.
taken over. It's so sad. I want to go hug a tree right now.
It's just, I hate that when every time we see land, I'm like, well, that land's still there. It's not going to last long because it's like once they see it, it's swooped up. And like, I hate that.
Yeah. Where I grew up, it's very lush and green and rolling hills. And there's quite a hippie vibe there. So like the culture there wants to protect and preserve as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a local business guy he was in the lumbering business. And there was this big, like, the hills are pretty big there. Like, they're the foothills of the Appalachians. So there was this one big hill that kind of loomed over the downtown area. And he decided to cut down all the trees on that hillside. And it just looked so sad. Like, everybody was devastated about it. And I mean, it was a huge deal back in the day. It's been many, many years ago, but I can just remember it just looked like a scar on the earth. Like, it's just so sad.
We need trees. Trees help us breathe.
Yeah. But luckily, I don't know if people replanted or if it just naturally grew back because there were already seeds from the previous trees in the ground. I don't know how that works, but now it's all grown back. So, but yeah. Anyway, tree hugging shit aside.
Offer a soapbox here.
By the mid 1950s, the Lorillards moved on. The jazz festival relocated to other Newport venues, and Belcourt was sold once more. So by the time they passed the torch in 1956, the castle was a mess. And that's when the Tenney family arrived. And this is where all these artifacts start to come into play because they were collectors. So Harold and Ruth Tenney, antiques dealers with a passion for European history and fine restoration, saw something more than a ruined party palace. They saw potential. That would be so fun to have that much money and like find projects like that, like find old things to restore. That would be really cool to do.
Yeah, it's like a hobby, but
yeah,
you have the money to do it.
Yeah. Along with their son Donald Tenney, They purchased Belcourt with the intent of not just reviving it, but reimagining it. While previous owners had viewed Belcourt as a backdrop for social events, the Tinneys approached it as both a personal residence and a living museum. They were deeply embedded in the world of antiques and historical artifacts, and over the decades, they filled Belcourt with hundreds of period pieces. Chandeliers from France, carved wood sculptures from Italy, Japanese samurai armor, 18th century mirrors,
Damn.
stained glass from forgotten cathedrals, and rare high-backed salt chairs, once reserved for kings. But this wasn't just decorating, it was curation. Each room in the castle became a themed time capsule. I would have loved to see this.
I know, me too.
One salon might evoke 17th century Florence, another Gothic Britain, a third Tokugawa-era Japan. The house was transformed into a sanctuary of lost eras. That would have been so cool to see. At the heart of this was Harley Tinney, who would later become the public face of the family's ghost stories. Harley married Donald Tinney, and together they became the custodians of the Belcourt legacy, both historical and haunted. The Tinneys opened the castle to the public, offering historical tours during the day and ghost tours by candlelight at night. That'd be so cool. They were among the earliest in America to lean into the paranormal tourism movement, not to sensationalize, but to respectfully share the unexplained phenomena that they themselves had experienced. Over time, the Tinneys restored crumbling masonry, repaired the windows, and refinished warping wood floors. They invested more than half a century into bringing Belcourt back to life, which is very cool. But with every layer of dust they swept away, they uncovered something else, a lingering energy, something tethered not to the castle itself, but to certain objects within it. And while most antique collectors fear counterfeits, the Tinneys began to fear attachments. The Gothic ballroom of Belcourt Castle is a space designed to impress. Its vaulted ceilings, medieval fixtures, and stained glass windows transport visitors into a time of kings and cathedrals. But within this ballroom sit two chairs, unassuming at first glance, that have terrified guests, unnerved psychics, and even hurled a man through the air. These are the infamous salt chairs. So I looked up what a salt chair is because I'd never heard of that. Have you heard of a salt chair? Like, what is a salt chair? Historically, a salt chair or throne chair was reserved for the highest ranking person at the table, the dining table. So they're probably the seats that sit at the head of the table. Typically a king, noble, or powerful cleric. That would be so cool. Back in the day, a fucking cleric. I want to see that.
You were born in the wrong time.
I totally was. I would have been a sorcerer sorcerer back in the day.
You would have been a Jezebel. I'm just kidding.
How many nipples do you have, Jezebel? The name comes from the tradition of placing the salt cellar, which I had to look up too, because I'm like, well, what the heck? What's all this salt shit? Do you know what a salt cellar is?
I don't know what any of this stuff is.
It's like a salt cellar, like downstairs where you keep the salt. No, it's a valuable ceremonial item. And I guess it's just like a little salt container that I guess was pretty important because you gotta salt your food. Yeah, so I guess the person of most importance got the salt. I don't know.
Why they sat in their salt chair?
I guess that's probably why it's a salt chair, because it's near the salt cellar. I need a salt cellar, just so I can say I have one.
And then you're going to be people be like, what's a salt cellar? And then you have to go into the whole explanation. Is it even worth it?
True. Conversation piece, though. So the chair itself was meant to convey authority, intimidation, and control. The 2 chairs in Belcourt Castle are towering examples of this. They have high carved backs, ornate detailing, and the unmistakable aura of something ancient. These aren't reproductions. They're believed to date back several hundred years, possibly to the 17th or 18th century. And I looked up to see if I could find the origin of these, and I guess it's not really known exactly, but they are associated with French royalty and are believed to have been used by French royalty. Okay. But since their arrival at Belcourt, they've developed a reputation far darker than mere royalty. So it started subtly. Visitors would stand near the chairs and feel a chill, an immediate coldness, even in the height of summer. That always happens. Others describe that ever-familiar growing sense of dread, pressure building in their chests. Some claim the air around the chairs felt heavy, as if someone was already sitting there or unwilling to move. One woman reported placing her hands above one of the chairs and feeling a sharp jolt like static electricity, but 10 times stronger. Another man dared to sit. He lasted less than 10 seconds before vomiting on the floor. That'd be you.
I was literally about to say that'd be me. Totally be me.
But then the truly bizarre happened. Harley Tinney tells the story with both fascination and a little fear. A male guest was touring the castle, as many did during the Tinney family's public tours. He casually approached one of the salt chairs and, without permission, sat down. According to the tour guide and multiple eyewitnesses, the man was immediately thrown from the chair. Like into the air, it sounded like literally.
I don't care. I would still want to pay to see that.
He hadn't stumbled. He hadn't tripped. He was lifted and tossed 6 feet across the room, as if pushed by an invisible force.
I don't know why that's so funny. It just is.
It is.
People like the hell falling. Are you sitting in my chair?
Yeah, like get out of
here. Get out.
He landed hard, stunned and shaken. There were no strings, no stagecraft, and no explanation. So this incident apparently marked a turning point, and the Tinneys began roping off the chairs, warning guests to keep their distance. And
just get rid of them.
Yeah. In another widely discussed event, a group of approximately 70 tourists was gathered in the Gothic ballroom. A historian was giving a talk when, without warning, a flash of light described as a bolt of lightning erupted from the chairs. What would that be?
Zeus?
Yes, it was Zeus.
Sit in my chairs.
It arced across the room and disappeared. There was no storm outside, no faulty wiring, just a flash and then the unmistakable crackle of raw energy.
I don't know what that could be.
I don't know. So who or what haunts these chairs? The speculation is rampant. Some believe the chairs are possessed by the spirits of their former owners, refusing to relinquish their seats of power. Come on, guys. Don't you have anything better to do?
No.
Let it go. Others suggest they are charged objects, having absorbed centuries of human energy, trauma, or ritual use. Psychics who have visited the castle describe the chairs as occupied, not by ghosts, but by entities. Dybbuk? So, I'm fascinated by dark stuff, but there's a lot of shit I don't know. And I was just kind of looking, like, what is the difference between a ghost and an entity? Do you know? Because I
don't think
really.
So. You looked it up?
I did. It's actually on my laptop here. I looked it up, and where is it? Okay. So ghosts A ghost is the soul of a person or animal who used to be a flesh and blood being like us. Upon their death, they did not go into the light for their own reasons, and there is always a reason. They stayed behind and became a disembodied soul, and this can be a rough place to be. Because they are between this physical world and the other side, they carry with them all of the disease that they felt when they were alive: anger, fear, mental illness, addictions. Without their bodies, they have nothing to temper these emotions or illnesses with. It can be quite sad, really. It can be a very disturbing and trying time for both them and us. That's really sad. who have them in our houses. Most are truly sorry when they find out their behavior is upsetting. Ghosts can be seen and felt on a more regular basis by people who have more finely tuned physical senses. And then entities wreak havoc and enjoy it, so they sound more mischievous. So an entity is a being that has been created from the accumulation of constant negative thinking, negative energy, and fear. They go along their merry way, gathering as much negative energy as they can. They get stronger over time, and they become independent of the original source that created them. They're mischievous in nature, hard to control, and even harder to get rid of. Sounds like Dybbuk's to me.
Well, that's kind of what turns into a poltergeist, essentially.
They often change shapes, and they are hard to find except for when they want to disturb you and your family. You are the ones who will relentlessly poke. Oh, they are the ones who will relentlessly poke at the cat and pull your daughter's pigtails just for fun. They don't care if they are disturbing you, and they are not the least bit sorry for it. So, I guess ghosts are very sad. Makes me sad.
So you'd rather have a ghost than an entity is what basically you're saying.
Not really, because it seemed by the way he's, or whoever that is talking, they don't understand when their shit can be harmful. Like what they're doing can be harmful.
No, but there's like a lot of the time where they'll be like, if something like that happens, they'll be like, can you please stop? You're scaring me. And like, they usually stop.
Makes sense then.
So I'd rather have a ghost than an entity. Entity to me sounds like a poltergeist.
Yeah.
And that's like the worst of the worst. That's built up with all the negativity over time. So like the more it feeds and gets, it's just the stronger it is, and like the more darker it gets.
Yeah. Okay, so that's really all I could find on the chairs themselves. But still, I mean, that's pretty intense, even if it is just a couple of stories. Like those are two really extreme stories.
Yeah, tell to the guy that got thrown across the room.
And with multiple witnesses too. So
yeah,
like many witnesses. I wonder if there is an explanation for the lightning strike, though. I don't know. That just seems like that doesn't seem paranormal to me. I don't know. What do I know? Nothing. Okay, so I'm moving on to some of the other artifacts or relics or whatever you want to call them in this castle. And up next is the samurai that screams. So tucked away in a quiet hall of the Belcourt Castle stands a striking piece of 17th century Japanese armor. The plating is warm. It's not warm, it's worn, yet regal. The craftsmanship is exquisite, but most striking of all is the helmet, cracked down one side, with damage that seems to align with a weapon strike directly through the eye socket. Oof. The armor belonged to a samurai, a warrior bound by honor. But this particular suit, according to legend, is bound by betrayal and death. One evening, a piano tuner, working alone in the castle, heard a scream. Not a mechanical squeal, not a creaking door, but a human, guttural scream echoing from within the armor itself. Later, young girls touring the castle began reporting visions. They could see a face inside the helmet. A man's face twisted in pain, staring out through the cracked visor. You.
Mm-hmm.
You. Visitors have described feeling cold as they approach the armor, or a weight pressing against their chest. Why is it always weight against the chest?
Like someone's pushing down on it?
Yeah. I think that's probably anxiety. One tourist claims she felt like she was being watched by the armor itself. Psychics say the spirit is that of a warrior who died in agony and now releases that anguish through violent emotion, especially around the innocent or vulnerable. So another relic that they have is the mirror that refuses to reflect reality.
Story of my life.
Man. Mirrors are...
They're portals.
So moving on to the music room, we find an artifact that haunts not through sound or sudden force, but through subtle psychological manipulation. At first glance, the 18th century mirror hanging above the mantel is nothing unusual. Beautiful, yes. Its frame is intricately carved, and the glass itself is untouched by time. But then people begin to look into it, and what they see isn't quite right. Guests have reported that their reflections move independently. A turn of the head in the mirror that wasn't made in real life. A blink they didn't blink. Some see furniture vibrating in the mirror's world. Who? The room behind them remains still. And the fact that, like, isn't a mirror supposed to be, like, it can reflect your soul or something like that too? So, like, maybe...
Probably.
What you're seeing isn't like your physical body, but it's your spiritual body. Or maybe they're seeing glimpses of the spiritual body, and that's why it looks like they're moving when they're not. I don't know.
I mean, that's how I think some people communicate, is through mirrors.
Yeah. Have you ever done any older episodes, or when you and Ryan were doing stuff, did you do anything like specifically on mirrors?
I know Liz did the Three Kings. She did that paranormal game. It's with a bunch of mirrors.
I don't know that game.
Don't do it. It sounds terrifying. But there's a lot of mirrors involved, and the mirrors are facing each other. And you don't have mirrors face each other. You don't even want a mirror facing your bed when you sleep.
Ooh. Or, like, I know back in the day when people would usually die in their homes, they would cover the mirrors, right? So that bad entities couldn't, like, come in or come through.
It's like when someone dies, they cover the mirrors so they don't get stuck in the mirror.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Oh.
Like, as people were dying, they cover the mirrors.
But I thought it was because they didn't want them to get stuck. Their souls don't get stuck.
Oh, okay. What I was looking up said they didn't want, because maybe it's when someone's dying, the veil is thinner between the living and the dead, and it makes it easier for things to come in to this world too.
Yeah. And I think it just depends on your religion.
Sense. Probably. Yeah.
But she also did an episode on a cursed mirror, but I don't remember the name of it.
Okay. I thought it would be cool if we went down that rabbit hole too. Because I'm sure there's tons. Tons.
Ugh. Creepy.
Very. I used to be so creeped out. My grandma had all kinds of old furniture in her house. And one of her furniture pieces was this old, it was like a dresser table, but it had a big mirror attached to it. And I don't even know how old that thing was. I mean, the mirror itself was worn by time. It was old. And it was facing the bed. I mean, I guess it was like the side of the bed, but still, it's like the bed and then the side wall, it was facing it. And my sister, when we would stay there, she slept in that room. Maybe that's where she picked up all this creepy shit that has followed her around.
It's
The
just
room
like
that
think
I
about
stayed
it. She probably did, because like in my basement, there's like a rows of just mirrors down there.
in.
And I don't know why there's so many mirrors down there. And it's like, were these mirrors collected from all the people that have lived in this house before? So like, it just makes you think of maybe it traps all this energy in these mirrors and it hangs on to it. And then they just sit there. And it's a weird way to think. But like, what if that happens?
Yeah. It's a great possibility. Yeah, stuff like that. I don't know. Hard to deny.
Yeah.
Okay, so according to Harley, the mirror has never been physically shifted on its hooks. It doesn't tremble, it doesn't swing, and yet every object reflected in it appears to carry some level of distortion, like a ripple. Creepy.
That's very creepy.
It's like the Strigoi, or like vampires' reflections are distorted.
Or it's like if you almost go into the mirror, like that's what the reality of that world would be.
That'd be a creepy reality. Okay, so there's one more piece I thought I'd mention from this castle. And this is the monk that moves without walking. So finally, we come to one of the most persistent and location-specific hauntings in Belcourt Castle's history. A statue of a brown-robed monk carved from wood and imported from Europe once stood near the staircase in the castle. It was simple, it was stoic, but the energy around it was anything but peaceful. And this one doesn't make much sense to me. Like, it's a statue? Why would it have something attached to it? I don't know. It just seems like a very random thing. But Harley Tinney reported seeing a...
I mean, statues can be creepy.
I suppose. I don't know that I've ever been around one that creeped me out. So Harley reported seeing a full-bodied apparition, a monk in matching robes, standing near the statue late one night. What chilled her most wasn't the appearance, it was the pattern. Wherever the statue was moved, the monk would follow. So if she moved it to the sitting room, the ghost would appear there. So clearly it was attached to the statue. And finally, the statue was placed in the castle's chapel, a space of reverence and quiet. And after this relocation, the sighting stopped almost entirely, which is interesting. So psychics suggest that the spirit was finally appeased and granted a sense of belonging or ritual it had lacked elsewhere, which makes sense. That's not what I would have initially thought. I would have thought like it was just keeping it at bay, being that close to God. So what was undeniable? Yeah, whatever higher power. All these things used to ward off evil spirits. What's undeniable is that this was a spirit with boundaries and the intelligence to respect or respond to relocation. So yeah, that was the last one that I thought I would mention. I think there were more, but I didn't want to sit here all day talking about random relics in this castle.
Maybe that one was just a really old energy.
Yeah, I don't know what that one was. But not all hauntings are violent. which
No.
there can be peaceful ghosts. And it sounds like if it's a ghost, it's most likely going to be more peaceful.
And I wonder if the energies feed off each other.
Yeah, just like what I was asking about Zach Bagans and all those relics that he has together. Like that has to, they have to. And like, what if the mirror being a portal, it's like just inviting even more to come in, more spirits or entities
you have
or
a
whatever.
bunch of negative stuff in one place. Did we not just talk about how entities become a thing?
Yeah. And the longer that they're there absorbing energy, the stronger and more defiant they become.
And then you get the energy coming in from all the people that visit.
Yeah. So finally, in 2012, after 56 years of ownership, the Tenney family sold the castle. And it was really just because Harley was too old to take care of it anymore. And I looked to see what's going on with the castle today. I couldn't find where all this stuff went. Like, I don't know where the chairs are. I don't know where, like, if they're still there or if Harley sold the stuff. I couldn't find anything. But it did say that the castle is no longer a haunted museum, because in 2012 it was purchased by Carolyn Raphaelian. That's a big word, hard word.
That's a Ninja Turtle.
She was some rich jewelry brand lady. And she renovated it, and then she turned it into like an art gallery and a tour house and an event space. But that was
maybe she got rid of this stuff.
She may have just cleared it out. And I know she did. She has spent millions restoring it back to like its former glory, which is really cool.
Harley, if she was an antique collector, I don't think she would have sold the stuff.
Yeah.
Especially if she knew that they were haunted.
I'm surprised Zach didn't hear about this stuff and want it.
He's probably
at least the chairs. Yeah. But yeah, if you know where this stuff is, email us at weeklybazarrepodcast@gmail.com, because I couldn't find it. So yeah, that was a couple more additions to our haunted heirloom stuff. I think I'm probably going to take a break from it for a while, but like we said, it's just something we're going to come back to from time to time, just add to the series here and there. Whether you believe it or not is up to you.
Let us know if you would sit in the chair.
Yeah, I would not. I don't even know, like with the salt chairs, if I'd go near them. I might keep my distance from those.
I wouldn't sit in them. I don't know if I would touch them.
I might be curious enough to like hover my hand over just to see if I could feel the electrical charge that they're talking about.
Oh, fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I might do that.
All right. Well, guys, you can follow us on all the social medias at Weekly Bizarre Podcast. You can email us at weeklybizarrepodcast@gmail.com. You can join us on Patreon for $5 a month at patreon.com/weeklybizarre. It truly does help support us. If it's weird,
we're going to talk about it. Bye.
Bye.